Aloha and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a few videos today, but this will be split up into multiple parts, and I'm basically going to be covering my collection. Every comic book I have. You'll see some of these you've seen before, and some of these you haven't, and I'm doing this so that I can see what I have in my collection and basically get kind of back into organizing all this stuff. I've been out of comics for a few months now, only reading here and there. I barely opened this since then, and as you can see, I have a lot of stuff to go through and show you guys. I'm not going to spend too long on certain comics, barely any time on some, more time on others, and basically I'll split this video into parts and you'll see what I have in my collection, such as Thor 305. It's a humble collection, but it's a fun collection, a collection I have memories and emotions attached to, so I'll show you guys and kind of go through it with me. You guys will go through it with me, yeah. And also after that, I'll show you guys all the comics that I got these last few months that I haven't shown you guys, and organize them for you and tell you about some of the ones that I've read. And as you'll see here, there's quite a ton of new stuff I got. This is just one out of like 4 or 5 stacks. Plus I got a trade recently, and that's massive that I'll show you. And I think that's it. So a lot of stuff I'll show you in other parts. This first part is about my collection, and that's what this video will be. It'll probably be split up into two, maybe 3 parts. And yeah. Beginning with Captain America 305, this is the earliest Captain America issue that I currently have in single issue form. You know, these are all single issues, as you can see. And this is a decent issue for sure. I believe it's the first part of a 2-part story arc. I know it's part of a 2-part story arc. I forget if 304 begins it or if this is, I'm pretty sure this is the beginning of it. And this 2-part story arc basically features an angel type being, as you can see, from another planet, and he has a past with Thor of some kind. I'm not exactly sure what, but the nice thing about, comic books and why I collect comic books is basically has to do with, more than just enjoying the medium, but enjoying kind of piecing together a massive story, a massive epic that spans hundreds of issues for a lot of these classic series that I collect. And in this case, let me pull out the next issue so you have something to look at. You saw this before. Love this cover. But anyways, and Thor is a perfect example. Besides being an epic, besides being similar to, Norse and Greek epics from back in the day, the Odyssey and such like that. Beyond that, it's an epic in the sense that it's, spans, I forget how many issues the original Thor run had. We're talking hundreds and hundreds, like 500 issues or something crazy like that, before it got briefly rebooted and then went back to legacy numbering later on. So that's massive, right? And because of that, despite not knowing everything, the more you read, the more you learn, right? And thankfully, a lot of issues from back in the day were written in a way that allowed people to figure out what exactly was going on without reading, hundreds of issues in the past. And, that's how I'm able to read so much, right? Without reading issues 303 all the way back. That doesn't matter. You can hop right in at any point, and for a lot of series from back in the day, and mostly you can get context through some online resources, but mostly just from, the way that it was written back in the day. And here, you've seen this before, but I'll flip through it as well to kind of fill out my talking. And that story arc, issues 304. Let me see right here. Yeah, issues 305 and 30. Is it 304 and 305 or 305 and 306? I think it's 305 and 306. Was pretty decent, but it wasn't the best. It was one of the weaker Thor story arcs that I've read. Basically involves, again, that angel being that is after Thor, as you can see. And there's a small little boy, basically, that has basically a connection to this angel. I forget exactly how. I think the boy latches on to the angel and thinks it's like he's going to take care of him, or thinks he's cool or something like that. And basically, the cold heart of this celestial being has to be warmed by the little boy. So it's that kind of story. Pretty cliche, but it was fun for what it was. Not the best, though. Definitely nothing to go after if you're looking for reading issues. It's nothing to just go after, but It's the earliest Thor issue I own, so there you go. Hercules, Prince of Power is a 4-part miniseries that I covered in its own video. I'll put an annotation somewhere for you to watch that, hopefully, if I remember. And I own 2 issues of this. I got in a lot for real cheap. All these miniseries, or most of these miniseries, are quite cheap from this era. And this is actually the second miniseries. There's one in 1981 and one in 1984. This one from 1984 is quite fun and one of the best, probably actually the best miniseries that I've read so far of all these. I've read about 4 of these 4-part miniseries. What do you know? And it's definitely my favorite, probably, of the ones I've read. So definitely go after this if you can, right? Basically, it's Hercules from the Thor universe, and he's off on his own, kind of Guardians of the Galaxy style, traveling the universe and trying to find his purpose, basically. And in this, he gets wrapped into a kind of... he gets entangled with some shenanigans involving Thanos' minions. And in that, you get to see the fall of Greek gods. Yeah, the fall of basically Olympus. Through it. How does Olympus fit in with the Norse mythology of Thor and everything? Well, you're going to have to read it to find out, but it's quite good. I definitely recommend it. And I put it here mostly because this is the best place I could fit it in terms of when it came out specifically. This was 84. What is this? June of 84. So then this is March. I think this is 85 in this. Yeah, I think this is 85. So I tried to organize it in terms of when it came out, in terms of, how do you put that, sequentially. So I believe this is sequential. If not, it's okay, because I understand it, and that's all that matters, I suppose. Issue 353, I don't remember reading. It's part of a 6-arc story arc, if I remember correctly. I was going to read this and read the rest of the issues that I don't have in this arc, but I don't think I have yet. Pretty cool cover, though, as you can see. And part of the... hold on, some noise in the background, but it's part of the... what's his name? Part of a basically legendary or very famous Thor kind of period of time where some pretty crazy stuff happened. I know that. So yeah, Walt Simonson wrote issues, started at 337 or so, and went on for quite a while, until at least, until like the 370s at least, 380s, somewhere around there, I think. And basically, so I'm not a comic historian, as you know. I buy random comics for cheap, I read them, and I follow a few news series. That's who I am. So I may be getting things a little wrong. I had to Google some of it, but I also ran around and may have forgotten some of the facts that I looked up a few minutes ago. But yeah, that seems to be the case. And yeah, he was a very important writer for Thor. You know, a lot of things happened under his reign, such as Beta Ray Bill becoming a character, big story arcs involving the transformation of Odin, things of that nature, the death and kind of, I'll just say death of Thor. I don't know how exactly to kind of him descending into the underworld and needing to escape. That whole plot line was under his reign, as far as I remember, and other things involving that. What was it? I forget if his the downfall of what's it called? Is it Ragnarok? Yeah, I forget if Ragnarok he set up the plot threads for that, or if it happened under his time on the book. I forget exactly. But he either set it up or it happened during that. So that was crazy as well. So definitely he was a very important writer, and this is was under his time with the book. So wanted to mention that. I haven't read it though, so. And let me place this back in the right location here. It's right before Balder the Brave, because sequentially in terms of when things came out, whether this is 84, 85 of March, this is November of whatever year the last book was in, as far as I know. So Balder the Brave, issue 1 in a 4-part series. This was a pretty decent series here. I like that cover. Not bad at all. A little too cliche at times, a little too predictable, but it was very solid for what it was. If you like the writing style of this era, you know, these books definitely aren't bad, but it's nothing to write home about either. I forget if I did a review. I don't think I did an independent review on this. I think I just covered this briefly in a Pulls and Pickups, but kind of a love story. He has to go after his dame, basically, and that's that, right? He goes into the world of the giants. I forget exactly what it's called. Something near or whatever. Just like most of the realms have that kind of suffix, or those kind of are set in that kind of way. Issue 4 there is very cool, and yeah, pretty decent, but yeah, it drags a little bit, and it's a little bit clunky in terms of its writing style. This is, I'm pretty sure this is still under the Walt Simonson run. I believe, let me see, 375. Yeah. So this sets up this is part of the story arc that involves, what's his name? Man, I don't know. I was going to say the name, but I don't think I'm going to get it right. Oh, is he I think he can, if I remember correctly, his power is that he can take whatever powers his ball hits. So he hits, Thor, for example, and he has some of the powers of Thor. He hits, the ground, and he can transform into the ground, that kind of thing. I think that was the plot to this. I'm not exactly sure. Let me check something. Yes. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I'm pretty sure I think so. He looks different. But anyways, I'm thinking he's the Absorbing Man. I picked up this like 2 weeks ago? This is going to be in the other video with my pickups. But here he is, as far as I know, from the 60s in his first appearance. So I think that's it. I think so. Don't quote me on that. If I'm wrong, somebody on Reddit is going to tell me. But yeah, I think so. Only 250, and I enjoyed from what I remember, the very little I remember, I enjoyed the story arc. It was a little exciting and everything because of facing off against quite a powerful foe. But it was, it was cliche ultimately, and it wasn't fantastic. It was still pretty expected. You kind of know what's going to happen. It's not like Thor's going to die or anything like that. But it was pretty decent for what it was. What is this? This is issue 375. This is 376. Yep, part of that story arc. Then we skip forward a few issues to 380. This is where things really hit their stride, where Thor descends into descends into the underworld, as far as I remember, and has to forget the name, has to destroy this serpent basically to gain access to Hela's domain. And get her, basically. I forget exactly why. I forget if he put an enchantment on Thor where he can die. I think that was the plot. Thor is immortal because of some kind of enchantment that Helena put on him. So he has to go to her domain, which is basically the underworld, Hell, and fight off differing beasts in order to gain access to her domain. He finally reaches there with his new armor. He dons the Destroyer, and basically wants to take her out. But some different things happen. Loki tries to meddle with everything, and the Destroyer, which is the armor that you see right now, awesome, very metal cover there. I want you to see more of that. The Destroyer basically has a mind of its own, and basically tries to... Let's just say things don't go exactly how they should, and besides Thor battling Hela, he also has to battle his own armor, basically, in terms of the armor wants a different fate to happen than Thor does. So a very good issue, a lot of twists, a lot of turns, very enjoyable part of the story arc, the 2-part story arc there, as far as I know. But really, it's not like every issue before this for quite a while builds up to this, but these 2 issues are when things really hit the fan. And although I missed like 4 issues between this and the Absorbing Man, I still was able to make out the context. So if you want to skip right to the good part, definitely check out issues 380 and 381 of the Mighty Thor. And then we jump forward to 382. This is a 300th anniversary issue. This shows a lot of different... This is a meaty issue, and although it's a bit too... It doesn't do its pacing very well because it's so long. It feels almost like this is one issue kind of extended into 2, and it's missing some action. Although there's that, it also wraps up some of the events that happened in the last 2 issues that I mentioned. And along with that, yeah, along with that, it features a lot of kind of the inner politics that make the Thor universe kind of fun, the background politics. So that's certainly fun. And then only 2 issues later, you have a new start for Thor that, as far as I know, wasn't very long-lived, but a very interesting issue with issue 384, basically set in the future with a new person that takes on the helm of Thor, this time kind of a rogue, what would you call it, kind of like a survival... kind of like a rebellious teen in kind of a dystopian future that has to take on the helm of Thor to basically save the world. It's very cool. I'm excited to read any issues past this, but this was very short-lived because 84. What is this? Yeah, by 93, it already goes back to a different Thor. So I don't know. Must not last very long. I don't know how long it lasted, but very cool issue nonetheless. 384 is 393. Jumping forward quite a bit here. This is, or a good bit here. This is a double issue with 2 different characters involved. You got Daredevil. Daredevil didn't have enough in the book, in my opinion. I'm really growing to be a bigger and bigger Daredevil fan as time goes on, but it's still cool to see him in this book, and it's a fun, right? It's not fantastic, the writing's a bit cliche, and there's some kind of weird character dynamics as far as I remember. Some of these later ones, these last few ones that you've been hearing me talk about, as you can tell, I have a lot more to talk about it because these I read more recently, like a month or 2 ago, so or reread. A lot of these I read ages ago. Some of these, like this, I've owned. Geez, a lot of these Thor issues I've owned since I began reading comics, 8-10 years ago. So I've been rereading a lot of these that, or I was rereading a lot of these that I hadn't read in a long time. Fun issue for what it was, definitely, and worth picking up, but don't expect too much. Now we'll get to a number of Thor issues that I picked up that I haven't read yet. I don't think I've shown these. I forget. I think I picked these up near Christmas, in January, right before I started my channel. So this is issue 463. It's hard to tell what's in frame and what's not in frame. Anyways, this is part of the Infinity Crusade crossover. There was, the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity Crusade, and what was it? Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity Crusade, and one other Infinity series that were the big... As far as I remember, I may be getting this wrong, but there were a few big Infinity series that all kind of fed into each other in the 90s, early to mid 90s, and this was one of them, the Infinity Crusade, and there was a bunch of crossover issues. This is a crossover issue there. Haven't read it yet. This is part of the Blood and Thunder series. I have a few issues from that, right? Don't know too much about it, but it's comes shortly after that, 469. Picked up a lot of these issues for quite cheap and a lot. Kind of a fan servicey cover there. Part 9, man, you can definitely tell, issue 470, as you can see, you can definitely tell that these later issues change a bit in terms of their style and how they're marketed. Along with that, though, that story arcs just keep getting longer and longer, right? Nowadays, there's a lot of story arcs go on for ages, and you can definitely tell that that's changed in the 90s, right? Back in the day, 60s, story arcs were 1 or 2 issues, maybe, mostly 1 issue. Then 70s, 2-issue story arcs aren't too uncommon, maybe even 3-issue story arcs. By the 80s, you got a lot of 4-issue story arcs, 5-issue story arcs, or comics like the X-Men, and Grant Simonson's Thor, where it just kind of continues to blur into each other. And then by the 90s, you had so much blurring where series just kind of were very episodic, where everything just kind of constantly continues after each other. And if they're in a story arc, a definitive story arc, they're like 12 issues long. Or this one is 9. What is it? 70 is 9. So yeah, this one's 10 issues long. 471. And then we get to Thor Corps, which was around this time. I tried to fit this in sequentially, but Thor Corps is basically many different Thors from all over many different timelines and many different versions of Earth. And they all have to come together to fight an ultimate threat. What is that ultimate threat? I don't remember. But you got Bay Ray Bill here. You got one of the, it looks like on the far left, right? It looks like on the right, you got the futuristic Thor that I talked about from issue 85, 86, whatever that was, that I thought was great. And then on the far left, it looks like the early 90s Thor in some of the other issues that we were covering, but I'm not sure exactly. We got issue 2 here, cool cover there. Gotta love, that it's featuring other heroes, Namor, Captain America, and so on. You got issue 3 with quite a feature. Geez, look at all the series it's featuring. Haven't read any of these. Kind of wonder if it's too much of a cluster there, but who knows. That's a cool cover as well. A very different art style. It kind of clashes with the other covers, but very cool nonetheless. I like it. Issue 4, the final conclusion to this, that kind of mini-series. And then we get into, again, so I'm doing it in order of when it came out mostly. Now we're getting to modern day. So we have Thor issue 1 here. This is part of the Donny Cate series that came out, what was it, I think it was 2020 when it started. Yeah, 2020. Very cool there. We have I've been trying to pick up, I read them all through Marvel Unlimited, but I've been trying to pick up a lot of the back issues in between here. And you have issue 4 there. Cool cover for sure. This is part of the Galactus arc. Fun arc, and at first, the funny thing is, I didn't even like this series too much at first when I was reading it. I was gonna oh shoot, I put it in the wrong location. This is why I'm doing this video, but the forthcoming videos will definitely feature more organization here. So issue 1, didn't think was too good, but by issue 3 and issue 4, towards the end of this Galactus story arc, things really picked up. It was a bit slow, a bit confusing at first, because it kind of made a lot of references to past mythologies and past canon, but I definitely got into it by about the 4th issue. Here we have the 6th issue, which kind of gives spoilers to something that happens, but I won't, or something that will happen that is a glimpse into the future, but whatever. It doesn't make too much sense if you haven't read it, I suppose. So I guess that's what they were going for. Issue 7, I think it's 7 and 8, or is it 6 and 7? I think it's 7 and 8, are kind of more relaxed. It's a very short story arc compared to the last one, which was like 5 issues long. The one after this I believe the one right after this is with Beta Ray Bill, finishes off this kind of story arc and goes into the whole thing involving Beta Ray Bill. It kind of does, not Beta Ray Bill. It goes into Donald Blake, and Beta Ray Bill is where Odin is, how Beta Ray Bill is searching for him, and along with that, while that's happening, Thor is trapped in an alternative realm. If you watched a lot of my polls and pickups, you probably heard me talk about that. Very cool story arc, ended badly, but very good story arc, and the highlight of this series so far. It kind of lulled around this era though, but it picked back up, and it's okay if it lulls a little bit. It was kind of a fun distraction, and it was basically about other people wielding Thor's hammer. And here we have issue 10. Yep. I don't have 9 or 8. Geez. But yeah, around this time was when so part 2. So issue 9 was when this Donald Blake thing happened. Very cool. Picked up more and more, and although there were some things I didn't like in terms of how Jane Foster and the whole Valkyrie thing was handled, and how it didn't necessarily explain it as well, the whole relationship and how everything works mythology-wise with Jane Foster and her Valkyrie role. Didn't really explain that as well as I would have liked, because I pick up random issues, as you can see. I don't read a lot of stuff in between. I missed that whole part of Thor's story and canon, so it would have been nice if they explained that a little better, but it still worked quite well. Issue 13, and is it 4? Yeah, after that we get to, where's issue 14? I'm pretty sure I have issue 14. Okay, I put it after that. Okay, yeah, because that was the order it came out in, I think. Okay, so yeah, issue 13 and 14 are fantastic, and just kind of finish off the story arc, and it's great, right? Very good. My only complaint, it ends fantastically, other than the last 2 pages. The fate of Donald Blake is way too grim, and it really pissed me off. If you want to know more about that, hopefully I'll put in the card in the top right. Click the card in the top right, and I should put up the polls and pickups where I talk about that. Pissed me off, man. The ending really, really soured things, but despite the last few pages, the rest of that story arc was fantastic. And I'm going to have to cut this video pretty soon because I'm getting to the point where the camera isn't positioned well to see some of these issues. And it's getting quite long, but I'll finish off with talking about the Beta Ray Bill series. Very good. The Beta Ray Bill, the modern Thor issues that I have. So here's Beta Ray Bill issue 1, a very good issue. Fantastic, as a matter of fact. 4 out of 5 stars I gave it on League of Comic Geeks, and one of the best first issues I've read, period. Really good, and a great kind of reintroduction to Beta Ray Bill, which we hadn't seen in quite a while. And it's great to kind of see the background of what was going on during the whole, Donald Blake story arc. Kind of fills in a lot of the details there. And this came before issue 14, right? Okay, so issue 1 and then issue 2 right here. Issue 2 wasn't as good as issue 1, but it's still very cool. Features a great bar fight and setup for kind of where the plot goes. So that goes, yeah, if I remember correctly, hold on, let me cut this. So yeah, as far as I know, it goes Beta Ray Bill issue 1, Beta Ray Bill issue 2, and then issue 14 of Thor. I don't know. I'll have to Google that and reorganize it if I'm wrong. But here's issue 14. This is the final part of that of the Beta Ray Bill story arc that I talked about. Fantastic. 13 and 14 are a fantastic conclusion, like I said. But those last few pages on issue 14 kind of worry me for the future. I haven't read past this. I took a break, but I have, the rest of the issues that come out. There was an annual, and I think we're up to 15, 16, and an annual, because I quit about 3 months ago and reading it. So those are 3 months worth of comics. And then we're going to fade into Captain America, but yeah, a lot of Captain America here to go through, quite a bit. But you'll have to wait until later. You're going to have to wait until the next part. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this, wow. If you like this, I'm surprised. But if you did, then thank you very much. This is more for me than it is for the channel. But I thought, hey, somebody might enjoy this. If one person enjoys this, then that's what matters. So thank you very much for watching. See you guys in the next part where we cover Captain America, possibly Daredevil, and a few other things. And there's probably going to have to be split up into 3 parts. Plus, after this series of 3 parts, I'm going to be, right after, in the same day today, I'm going to be recording a series where I organize all my new pickups. It's kind of going to be like a pseudo pulls and pickups. So look out for that as well. Thank you very much for watching, and aloha.